And we are back for another episode of Prospects of the Land. And once again, we are back with huge guests. I mean, one of the biggest that we've had on. Ladies and gentlemen, a man from Harvard who was drafted in the ninth round of the 2024 draft by the Cleveland Guardians. A man who's an absolute dog out of the pen this season with a 1.37 ERA and has been on an absolute tear with the Carolina League first half champions. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Matson. Sean, how we doing?
Good, good. I appreciate you guys reaching out.
Yeah, of
Thank you.
course.
This is a good introduction right there. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Of
it.
course, Matt. Yeah, we really appreciate you having on, taking the time. We always love showing love to the prospects. And we start off these interviews with a fun question. Sean, you made your professional baseball debut earlier this season. We're going to give you two options. You made your professional debut with Lynchburg in that first series. You can either name the starting lineup in the bats, or you can name every pitcher that played in your first game. What do you want to do?
Oh man. Let's do. Oh man, that's tough. Let's do every pitcher, and then I might have to hear the lineup because
Okay.
that one was that was early. Okay, let me think.
Yep.
Okay, so pitcher, I came in. Xavier Martinez was definitely in that game, right?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, we got Xavier. Okay, I finished. I know I finished that game.
You did. Got the win, too. First professional win for your first
Yeah,
game.
I got a little help from the offense there. I got a little help from the offense on that one. Trying to think. Is there two more? There's just
Three more.
Should be
three more. Oh
Three
man.
more.
Okay, starting pitcher. So we had opening day. Okay, so Walty started that game,
That's correct.
Yep.
and then so Walty. Then there's someone in the middle, someone else, and then it was X, then me, or was X right after Walty?
X. Okay, so there's Walty, another one, X, and then there's another guy you're missing, and then it was you that finished out. So you got a couple in between spots.
Missing who I came in after. Really? Oh, geez, you guys might have to help me out with this.
He only pitched one out, but he got rocked.
One out.
I mean, I can't really put it. I'm sorry to this person.
Oh, okay. Was it? No, you're good. It was Logan, right? Because after that, he's been dominant since, right? It was a Logan McGuire.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not?
No, he has been really good though.
Did I come in after him at another time? Maybe I came in with him at home.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to help me out on this one.
All right, so the guy that came in before you, I'm just going to throw out some stats here. This year, a 5.40 ERA. He's got 2 saves, pitched in 20 games. Big strikeout guy.
Big strikeout guy, Flores.
Nope.
Big strikeout guy, Flores.
34 strikeouts in 20 games, about 23 and a third innings.
And he went to Rutgers.
He was drafted in your same draft.
Donovan Zach. Yeah, okay, I can give you that one. Rutgers, that's easy. He went to my dad's high school.
Good.
So that's an easy one to remember. See, I feel like I would have been better on the starting lineup here. I might have been struggling on the pitching.
Your other one you mixed, we'll just do it for time, was Whitaker. He came in after Walty.
Whitaker, so okay. Gotcha.
And you said you wanted to hear the starting lineup, so I'll give it to you. Espinola led off as your DH. Then Howe was your shortstop in second. Cesarini was third in left field. Perella was center at cleanup. Gutierrez fifth and right. Mijares at third. At third and sixth. Mendez at second base. So really early player there for Mendez. At second, he bat seventh. Lopez was your catcher, and then Jean Baptiste was at first. So really early Lynchburg lineup.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Really I think I could have gotten probably 6 of those guys. Might have done a little bit better on that one.
And then Tommy Hawk came off the bench there in that one. I want to ask you about him first, and then we're going to get into you. Obviously, the announcement just got made. He's going to be up at Lake County. What was the message from the guys to the likes of Tommy Hawk? We're going to be talking with the captain's radio announcer later on today. So what's your message for him and what he can see in Tommy Hawk, especially from your view as a pitcher?
Yeah. I mean, he's one of those guys that come up to the plate and it's like you're just a little bit more locked in on the game because something really, really cool could happen. We've been waiting for him to get the call because obviously he dominated Lynchburg last year. He did really well in the Carolina League and then started off super hot and obviously leads the minor leagues in bags. So we were kind of waiting for that call. He's definitely deserves it. And we've been kind of just begging for him to get up there because he's been doing great stuff, and he's a very good guy, to have behind you. Like, ball goes in the air straight over your head, you're pretty sure it's getting caught no matter what, which is pretty nice to have. And then obviously when he's up at the plate, anything can happen. I mean, he's batting 300 plus and 60 something bags. Like, that's going to be a fun time around the bases if you give him enough outs with the guys behind him. So honestly, just the best of luck to him, and we're super excited to see what he's going to do up there in Lake County.
David's got some questions to ask about you and your high school trip.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a guy, very talented out of high school. What went into the decision, going to Harvard, and how many offers did you kind of have just coming out of high school?
So I was pretty late bloomer in high school. I mean, I hit 83 as a freshman, so that was kind of cool, like going to some camps and getting some interest, not much, more mid-major stuff early on. And then I didn't throw any harder until senior year, or like junior spring, give or take. Went to a couple camps my summer before junior year, and I was still throwing 80. It was same, kind of like repeat camps to see if I could get a little bit more from the teams from early on in high school. And they were like, look, man, it's probably not going to be looking too great. You're not throwing much harder, not seeing much different. And then got in with a new pitching coach back home, Eric Buckland, and in 3 weeks, I went to a couple camps, and one of them didn't tell us what we were throwing, but I just felt good, and I was like, wow, I must have been throwing a little bit harder because they had a little bit of interest there. And then I remember going to a Richmond camp, and this was 2 weeks after I went to a William & Mary camp, touched 79, which is not very hard. And they were like, just completely cut off communications. And then 3 weeks later, went to a Richmond camp and didn't throw a ball under 88 after getting in with a new coach. And that kind of opened up the whole recruiting process. And then my parents, huge stress on academics. Mom went to Yale, dad went to Delaware, and they were kind of like, they really wanted me to play in the Ivy League. That was kind of a mutual dream. And then Harvard kind of went back to their camp. They were one of those in the summer, not throwing very hard and didn't get much interest in. And then I went back to their camp, displayed really good ability, kind of hitting and pitching. So that was a bit more of some more weight, throwing 90 plus having the offensive side. And that kind of started up our talks with them. And then COVID hit, and I basically committed there purely off video. I didn't have many other offers. And as soon as they called and were like, hey, we want you to play here, I was immediately answered. I was like, I would love to come. So that was kind of how that came to fruition, and could not have made a better choice. Best fit for me and best fit for my family, just who we've met and who's helped us along the lines and the relationships we've all created. It's just a really special place in my heart.
Yeah, for sure. Then, obviously balled out there at Harvard. Then after that, going into the whole draft process, how did it go for you? And, was Cleveland one of the bigger teams on your radar just going into the draft?
Yeah, so that kind of draft process kind of started off after freshman year of summer ball. I went to Vermont, had a good summer there, and that opened up a lot of doors through my coaches and the connections they had. Morgan Brown, he was our director of baseball ops at Harvard. He had connections to Vermont and then Orleans. And the draft process and kind of the dream to play professional baseball really took off after my sophomore summer in the Cape. Had a really good summer there. And then it was all kind of came down to how I was going to perform as a junior in that spring, and didn't really show the velo improvements that I think were expected. So it's not like my phone was burning hot and always getting text messages from scouts and agents and all that stuff. It's not like my phone was blowing up, but it worked out well in the Guardians. We had a guy, Jay Driver. I don't know if you guys have met him. He was a Harvard baseball alum, and he had gotten drafted by them in the 9th round the year before, and kind of knew they were interested. I was talking to Kyle Bamberger, who was the area scout, and I knew they were interested, but I didn't really know at all where I was going to end up and who liked me the most, and kind of just got that call up in the was still up in the Cape, kind of just expecting to either continue playing summer ball or get drafted. And I got that phone call, and it was a pretty exciting time for my family, and my girlfriend was in town too. So it was a good group of people to be around when I got that call.
For sure.
Sean, expand on your relationship with Jay Driver. I really wanted to ask about that. College teammates on the same staff in 2023, and coincidentally, you get drafted in the exact same round 1 year apart. Now being in the same organization, him in Lake County, you down there in Lynchburg, how much have you guys still talked, and how's your connection still built throughout being in the same professional organization? Doesn't happen often.
Well, we were pretty close in college. Early on, it was kind of coming off of COVID, and my freshman year, it was his like freshman year 2.0 because they were the only ones on campus. His true freshman year, so we kind of like got involved with the program at the same time for the most part. He had a little bit more experience and had a little bit more of that time with the coaches and the team, but got close. Our two grades got really close, and we've been friends. And then obviously he's our captain my sophomore year, and when he was a junior the year before he got drafted. And so it kind of shows you the person he is, the leader he is. So someone I definitely look up to, someone I've continued to learn from. He's always texting me, especially in the off season. We were throwing and working out together. He just gives me the tips, kind of preparing me to play my best. And I hope I've given him a couple tips too, even though he's got a couple years of experience on top of me. But he, great guy. We stay in touch, talk on like a weekly basis, I would say. And I'm kind of just excited for the next time we're in the same uniform.
Yeah, could be later on this year. Who knows if you keep pitching like this. Before we start diving on into some of your numbers, because they really intrigue me from college into the pros, I want to ask you about what you throw. Out of high school, it looked like a pretty basic 4-pitch mix for you. Fastball, changeup, slider, curve. Has that evolved at all, or how have you changed your pitching regimen, especially as the guy that, like you said it yourself, doesn't really throw particularly that hard?
The main focus right now is just kind of building the power in the arsenal, kind of getting everything harder, slider, fastball. Not too worried about making the changeup harder because that pitch is always going to be of the velocity is not my worry with that pitch. It's how it's moving and how it's playing. And then that fourth pitch, the curveballs, working on that one as well, kind of just making it more consistent and efficient, like through my mechanics and throwing that in zone more. But the arsenal hasn't really changed very much. I've kind of flip-flopped between slider, cutter, basically me saying slider or cutter because the cutters was a slider anyway. But it's been pretty consistent. It's just honestly trying to make those pitches the most swing and miss as they can be, or the most effective as they can be. It hasn't changed much since high school. It's just 4 pitches I think work really well with kind of all the things that go into pitching. Just like from where I'm releasing the ball, how I throw, my mechanics, kind of like how I like to sequence. So like as a group and with the pitching coordinators and Shane here, it's kind of just focusing on getting that power up and continuing to improve that arsenal, not necessarily make too many big changes, but just improve what's kind of gotten us here. That's kind of a big focus for the Guardians. So that's hasn't changed much, but it's just looking to get it better every day.
What would you say is your go-to pitch in that arsenal when you need an out? Bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. What's your go-to pitch? What are you throwing, guys?
Probably fastball or changeup. I think kind of depends. There's a lot more that goes into that one. Just kind of what I'm throwing beforehand. But if I woke up one day and those were the only 2 I had, I think I would be able to compete still. So that's probably those 2. Probably changeup to put a guy away. Maybe fastball to get a quick out or a swing and miss too. So,
Sean, let's dive into some of your numbers here because your ERA has not dipped below 2.35 all season long. In fact, it's only gotten better as you've been getting more and more innings out of the pen for Lynchburg this year. In fact, you've even started a couple of games as of late in late May and in early June. You were a starter throughout high school and throughout college. So my first question to you, what's the transition like going from a starter into a bullpen role? What's the biggest thing that you've either learned or you've sort of had to figure out transitioning from a guy that can pitch 5-6 innings to a guy that is only required to pitch 1 or 2?
I honestly, the kind of the routine you have throughout the game and the day, I kind of had to learn a little bit more about myself for that one. Summer ball helped me out a lot with that. It was nice kind of going through college and getting the experience of being freshman year early on, being a long reliever, and then starting freshman year, and then starting in the summer, and then the next year closing in the summer. And I kind of got to experience all different roles, which was nice to be able to learn a little bit more about myself and what I need depending on what role I'm going to be in. And that's definitely something they preach in the organization, is kind of finding that routine that's going to allow you to perform at your best. So it wasn't too difficult for me. I kind of went through phases where like I wasn't looking at the numbers I wanted to hit because maybe I wasn't doing this or that in my routine right. I wasn't preparing early enough for a bullpen appearance just because that call is a little bit quick sometimes, or but I've kind of always had the same routine as a starter. But learning how to come out of the pen and learning what your job kind of changes into as you're coming out of the pen, especially here in pro ball. It's been a fun time, and I definitely have picked up kind of like how my approach changes and what I'm going into, my mentality against a batter, depending on if I'm coming in the seventh or if I'm starting a game. So you kind of just learn along the way what's going to make your body feel the best, and then the weekly routine, for me at least, hasn't changed much depending on if I'm starting or in relief. I try to I listen to the arm, follow like the Jaeger program. I know you guys probably know what J bands are, but his kind of like mentality behind throwing. Trevor Bauer was big on it early on, and that's kind of how it blew up. But definitely that focus on stretching out the arm, giving what it wants on the day, whether it be the day after pitching, if my arm feels a little bit better, giving it that 150 feet that it wants, rather than just kind of keeping myself to 60 feet. That's just not who I am as a pitcher. So it's kind of comes down to what you're doing like the 2 or 3 days beforehand, and kind of what you're doing during that game, learning like, hey, do I need to get going in the second because I'm expecting to come out of the pen early, or do I need to get going in the seventh because body feels good and there's no point in kind of beating it down to try and get a little bit more out of a stretching routine or a band or plyo routine. So it's fun. I think it's good to learn all the ways to kind of prep your body, because there's going to be days where maybe starting and it's pouring outside and I got to somehow fix the routine into working it out in a gym inside or figuring something out. So it's good to kind of have that flexibility and learn from other guys, especially how to perfect that routine, because everyone's got something that you don't know and something that'll help you out. So
last question from me as of right now, just sticking with some of your numbers, and especially I think, increased confidence with this organization and this Lynchburg team to give you more innings. Your ERA sat around the 5s, and in your last season at Harvard in the 3s. Normally, that ERA hovers around the same or drops a little, or I should say increases a little bit when you get into the pros. Yours has gotten significantly better, and now you're getting more innings. What's working for you? What is something that you have learned either at your last year at Harvard or since you've been playing pro ball to now to where you're getting more innings? You maybe are going to start, if some guys get called up, brought her down, or with Jogly Garcia hurt right now, you could be getting some more starts. What's working for you to keeping your ERA so low, striking out guys? And I don't think you've allowed more than 4 hits in a 3 hits even all season long. What's working?
I think that kind of goes to show you how good the org is and kind of developing the pitchers. It's pretty public, like knowledge. Everyone knows the Guardians are very good at developing pitchers in house and getting them to the show. So I think right after the draft, kind of learning what the real important focuses should be when you're on the mound, and kind of what you should be thinking about during the week and how you should prepare for those outings. I think early on, I struggled a little bit in our bridge season, which is like the new name for the short season. Just kind of struggling to not necessarily find the zone, but pitching just a little too cute, trying to work off edges a little bit too much, not really attack guys with your best stuff. Whereas like when the org was kind of talking about kind of like their main focuses, I realized, hey, I kind of need to change up what I'm trying to do on the mound, and just kind of like give the hitter my best stuff in zone and just really focus on strikes and competing and trying to get outs quick and win counts where I should be winning counts. So honestly, the difference between obviously physical improvements, feeling a lot better, being able to kind of have the stamina and strength to kind of go through a longer outing, or really just unload everything for a 1 to 2 inning outing. Those things that I've picked up in the, what would it be, 10 months that I've been with the organization have really helped me kind of focus mentally on what I need to be focused on when I'm pitching and competing. And I think that's really helped. And then on top of it, like the teams you play with as your career goes on are just going to keep on getting better and better. So there's that comfortability with the guys that are behind me and the guys that are going to come up the next inning, and the focus on shutdown innings to keep momentum and all that stuff that really goes into it. But honestly, I just think it's just times kind of learning new things, getting more experience, picking up a lot of good nuggets from coaches and good feels and focuses. That's all kind of contributed to better stats, even though the stats aren't really as much of the focus right now. It's honestly just about developing and kind of competing and learning what this org wants and what it needs and kind of doing what they're asking. So I think just those things combined have really contributed to statistically being better.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, kind of another thing going off of Nate's question. What has been the biggest thing that you've seen from college ball to, kind of the pros, just with the hitters, and what have you been able to do in the pen to kind of stay ready and just be ready for whenever your name's called upon?
Big thing for the hitters. The guys are just trying to look to do a little bit more damage, I think, than college. I think there's a little bit more of a focus on certain statistics and measures of performance that they just want hitters to do a little bit more damage at the plate, especially the teams we're playing. I think our organization plays more all-around baseball than some others may be focusing on. So we kind of see some teams where guys are just, you'll face 3 through 6 and they're all just trying to put a ball out of the park. And when you're working a good mix and kind of focusing on attacking guys and being in zone for guys that are looking for what they want to hit out, I think you find success when you're just kind of a step ahead mentally when it's against you, against the batter. And then, I mean, the preparation side out of the pen and stuff like that it's just way more the resources you have. Like this organization's fundamental, like its whole purpose is to make its players play as well as they can and to ultimately help the org at the big league level. So I think it's just a very selfless organization that's trying to help the players, and I think the resources that they've given us and kind of just continuously pumped into each of the levels, you kind of see like your body just feels better. You're focusing on the right things. You have trainers making sure kind of, hey, you want to get this recovery in, you're going to want to get this, and this. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, wow, I feel like I can get out on the mound again. So I think that's a big thing. And it's just a whole lot of learning that's kind of attributing to all of the different improvements and successes that I think every guy on the field sees. It's just that constant need, like want from a person to kind of keep getting better and kind of learn new things.
Yeah, and you talk about the organization kind of, working with all you guys. Just how helpful has it been to be, a part of such a great bullpen in Lynchburg with guys like Hepner and Alfar, just all these guys, and just does that help you guys kind of thrive off each other, just being in the bullpen with all those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one thing like being on the same team with people and kind of having a bunch of success with other guys, but I mean, it feels kind of like it's a very family feel, like the locker room, everybody wants to help each other out. You come into the game with 2 runners on, and like the last thing you want is for another guy's run to get cashed. Like we all kind of work with each other and we want to win games. I think everyone's got that competitive spirit, especially in Lynchburg. And I think most teams are trying to get to bullpens for the most part in baseball in general. Like you want to get to that bullpen and before they get to yours. But I think that's not what people want against us, because we're just going to keep pumping out guys that are going to get outs and kind of know like when we get to that 5th, 6th inning and we have a pretty steady lead or it's a tight game, we know like, hey, all we need a couple runs, and I think the bullpen's going to hold it down. It's just a lot of confidence in each other, and the confidence in the confidence that the staff has too is awesome as well. Like knowing that they trust us when we're out on the mound and kind of they're ready for us to go out there and have success is another thing that really helps us all out.
Sean, let's stick in the Lynchburg field, ask you some fun questions now. First half champs, man, how does it feel?
Good. It feels great. It kind of makes everything like just feel a little bit better, like going into those last week and sweeping Carolina after not sweeping a team all year, and like everyone's saying how hard it is to sweep someone. I think a lot of guys were like, we don't really want to celebrate this in Augusta. We want to celebrate this at home. So we kind of had that little extra chip on our shoulder. last week, and it kind of came together. I mean, I think that's the best baseball that we've played all year, for the entire week, and I think that the team we were playing kind of felt that we were kind of on another level all week, and it's just good to see that everyone's kind of getting better and we're playing better baseball all around as a team. Going through these like dog days where some teams were going to show up to the field and they're not going to want to play us as much as we want to kind of get that win and head back to the hotel happy. So it's really nice to have that first half championship kind of feeling, and know that we're going to be playing for something bigger at the end of the year. But it's also kind of not something we want to stop, like just because we've made it. Not really don't want to slow down. It's more fun winning. It's more fun playing well and developing. So it's honestly a little bit a little bit more of a burst of an energy for us going through this second half of the season.
Sean, how hard did you celebrate, man? I gotta know.
I celebrated pretty hard. It was one of my bigger celebrations in my life, I should say, if that's a good way to put it.
Sure, we'll go with that. Who's the biggest partier in that locker room at the end of the day?
At the end of this, in the first half, who's going? Man, I think everyone might have been on a level playing field for that one. I've never seen so many guys so excited, including, we had everyone there, all the staff that helps us out at Lynchburg, everyone that's working to make those games run. Like, we were all just having a really good time and celebrating something big. So I don't know if I can point out one name. I think I'm going to stay away from doing that, but
I would avoid buying someone there.
Yeah, I think most of us were having a pretty good time.
And final question before we dive on into some of the future stuff moving forward into the second half. Jordan Smith, a name that I think a lot of people need to know. What has he done from a managerial perspective? He's been awesome this year from my view.
I think one of the biggest things is he's always so calm. I think he's got that, like, I don't know, probably like similar to that Mamba mentality, like you just never know, like the feelings that are inside of he's going to, like, that he just wants the best for us and wants the best for everyone. And he knows that, and that he wants to get all of us to where we want to go, and he wants all of us to fill our dreams. So it's really nice having a person kind of leading your squad like that, especially if you're as good of a person and as good of a leader as Jordan is. So we kind of we look up to him. We learn things from him every day. His personality, the way he carries himself. There's a lot of good. We kind of all look up to him. We learn from him as a person. You see him with his family. You see his relationship kind of religiously, and like we're all kind of looking up to him. You see all the really good things he does and the way he carries himself, and we have utmost respect for him and for the entire staff, and it's nice knowing like the people that are leading the ship are some of the best people you're going to be around. So yeah, it's awesome.
And what was his message kind of to you guys going down the stretch, just trying to clinch that playoff spot, and kind of the vibe that he brought to the dugout?
Just kind of having that mentality that like you want to play to your best ability. You want to have that lion mentality. That was a big thing that he was preaching, and our mental performance coach was preaching, Andy McGregor, and we kind of just had that lion mentality. Like we didn't want to give in. There was days we were going to be tired, and there was days that kind of were going to be a little bit harder than the others, but we really wanted to kind of be in that spot and kind of get the fruits of our labor with that first half win. So he kind of just wanted to stay focused and not get too high, not get too low on things that may happen. And I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he even said in that post game after you guys had clinched, you are a bunch of lions, which is absolutely true. One more final question about baseball, and I want to ask you about some off the field stuff. Moving on forward into the second half of the season, you already clinched that playoff spot, but how vital and important is it to continue doing what you did in the first half into the second half, especially considering with the draft process coming up, Tommy Hawk just got called up. Who knows how many more guys, yourself included, could get called up, especially for the organization you're in right now. How important is it to continue doing what you're doing with a bunch of new guys moving in and out of the organization?
I think it's just continuing to show up to the field every day with like the mentality that we're gonna continue to win and continue to play to our best ability. I think all the guys, it's not like everyone's gonna stop wanting to get any better at this point in the year. It's a long season, and kind of everyone knows that if you want to kind of play at the highest level, you're gonna have to play all 162, and for us, all 132. 32 games. Like it doesn't stop halfway through. You know, you could season the momentum can all be lost in a certain part of the year, but that shouldn't stop kind of like what's going on here. We have a really good team. We got a really good a mental spot. We're in a really good mental spot to be in. And I think it's just continuing to show up to the field every day with kind of like that focus on, hey, we want to get better. And if we're getting better, I mean, you saw how dominant we were in the first half. I think if we're all getting better, that's only going to set us up for success in the second half and in the playoffs especially. So I think it's just continuing to focus on what we need to do to get better as a team and as a singular player. And I think it's all going to work out just off of that. It's not too much thinking ahead. It's kind of staying present, just focusing week by week on what we need to do.
All right, Sean, outside of baseball, what are some of the things you like to do? We talked to Austin Aldeano a little bit ago, and he's a big video guy. So what do you like to do?
I used to like playing basketball, but that one I got to be careful with that one now. It's like just driveway hoops now. But I play some video games. I watch some movies. I just like spending time with the guys, honestly. In season, I'm just trying to be around the guys as much as possible. And then out of season, I've got my beautiful girlfriend, so I got the date nights. I'm a huge fan of date nights, movie nights especially. Baby. Oh yeah, I like that. Spending time with the fam. I'm pretty stock when it comes to that stuff. I'm not going to give you a skydiving answer or something like that. So.
No, man, that's great. We love to hear about the person you are off the field. One final message from you. If Taven has nothing else, Taven.
I don't.
One final message from us to all the fans out there. Again, people are starting to delve on into the minor league market. It's only getting bigger and bigger. Who is Sean Matson? What can the Hillcat and hopefully Captains, Ducks, Clippers, and even Guardians fans expect from Sean Matson when he steps on the mound?
That's a good question. I just trying to give it my all, just focus on being the best I can be, being the most help I can to the team. No matter what the role is or what the job is, if it's 1 out or if it's 27 outs, it's all the focus is kind of like what's the best thing that's going to come out of this for the name on the front of the jersey. So honestly, it's just this org's kind of gave me the chance to fulfill my dream, and there's nothing else I want to do but fulfill that dream and kind of just continuing to work hard. They're going to get a hard worker and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to win. So that's kind of the only message I really have.
There are people that say that minor league baseball is as important for the logo and the crest on the front as it is the name on the back. You, sir, seem like truly a selfless guy no matter where you're playing. I think you're going to have some fun time. And you talked a lot about, hey, the Guardians develop pitchers really well. Well, they got to like you first. And you're a really, really good one out of the Hillcats pen. Thanks for joining us, Taven.
Yeah, for sure. Once again, Sean, appreciate the time, man.
Thank you, guys. This is fun.
For sure. Well, we appreciate everybody watching.
Oh, yeah, and Sean, one final thing. Where can they find you on social media if people want to look at some of your posts?
Oh, man, social media. Sean Matz 28 on Instagram. That's about all I got. I got to start tweeting. I'm not a very good tweeter, but I think I got some funny things I could say that are okay to say on Twitter, and might maybe try to boost that following someday soon. I know some of those guys. Oh, no shot. No, funny thing. No, I think I got some good thoughts on the game and stuff like that. So it might be fun to get a little bit more active on Twitter, but I'm not even sure what my handle is. So I'll give you the Instagram. That's all I got.
No, you're a very intelligent guy. I mean, you went to Harvard. You have to be. So thank you for talking to us. Taven will get us out of here. Go follow Sean Matson and the Lynchburg Hillcats. An amazing first half. We can't wait to see what you do in the second half, wherever you may be playing.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Taven?
Yep. Once again, we appreciate everybody watching. Have a show tonight at 7 o'clock with Lake County Captains play-by-play announcer Logan Petoskey. So be there for that, and we will see everybody later tonight.